So I'm pulling.
Hi, so sorry I couldn't go live today. Just to let y'all know, apparently there's a new thing for 24 hours before live, so I did apply for it. It will be next week. I do apologize for that. We have students in class. I do not answer questions on live stream. I will not answer questions as far as during the video. You can leave comments and I'll go ahead and definitely take care of that. So we start with the first hour as being personal finance. And then if you're actually interested in business financing as well as moving into the entrepreneurship of owning a business, stick around for the second half. Please subscribe and like, give us that bell, and it'll tell you every time I go live. Perfect. So today we're going to start with your basic financing for individuals. The things you need to know to understand where your money's going instead of just hemorrhaging money, which is an actual term in the financial field. Which hemorrhaging money means you don't know where it's going, it's just flowing out of you. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out where it goes. So what you want to do is you want to create a statement, okay? This here, there's 5 words in the whole term of everything and 4 words on your financial statement. So this is what it looks like. You're going to have it like that, and you're going to have another one like that, all right? And here's the 4 words that they create the financial statement with. You got income. All right. We've got expenses, which go over here. E, X, P, E, N, S, E. I didn't say I was a writer. I said that I could help you with finances. So, this side here, we're going to have assets. And I will define what an asset is here in a little bit. So we got asset. And then on this side here, we got liabilities. So I'm gonna just put LIA. All right, so I said there's 5 words. I'll explain the 5th word later on, or I apologize, 6 words, but one of them is a phrase. So I will explain that here in a little bit when we get to the second hour. So income, what's known as ordinary income, comes out of a box. So it's called the quadrant or cash flow quadrant. You got E, you got S, we got B, and we got an I. Now here and here is considered ordinary money. And that's one of 3 ways that's legally termed for your taxes. So ordinary. Okay? And that's these 2 here. Here, this is called portfolio money. So you got portfolio, P-O-R-T. Alright? And then the 3rd legal term, which is usually taxed the least. And I did go in an order for a reason. So here, it's called passive income. In the music industry, it's called royalties. So we got passive income. All right? So the reason I went in the order that I did is because here, depending on where you live, you're taxed anywhere between 33 and 50% of your check. Now most people go, oh, I don't get taxed that much. The truth is, if you don't live in Oregon or whatever other state doesn't have sales tax, you're paying tax on top of tax. So, just to break that down, that's not necessarily fun for anybody. So you pay anywhere between 35 and 50% here. Portfolio money, that's here. Now the definition of an investor is $250,000 or more that you can invest into a project of some scale and get an income or a return of equal to or greater value, and you can still lose money. Yes, investing is always risky. Okay, but that's a portfolio income, it's an investment. All right, so that's the 250, and that's here. And they are included in like a 12 to 25, 27.5% income or taxes, okay? And then passive can actually come all the way down to 0 depending on how you do it, and legally come down to 0 because you get the most tax breaks here. Right there, owning your big business, by the way, which is the B, is 500 or more employees at any given time underneath you, and you do not run it personally. That is a big business. Here, employee, we all know what that looks like. Go get a job, go to school, be good. All right, and then we got self-employed. Now that's the person who, I run my own shop, but it's never really gonna go bigger than a single shop, maybe 2. It's not really a chain thing. All right, so we create income from any one of these pieces, but today, the reason I showed you that information is because I want you to understand what I'm talking about. today for the first hour, we're going to focus on the E and S quadrants. I'm going to focus primarily on the E quadrant, which is also known as ordinary money. Now, S quadrant is very interesting because you do get some tax breaks there. And that, of course, you'd have to face a tax consultant. I am not a tax consultant. So we're going to leave the E up here. Okay, so we know that it's an employee status. So from the E, we create money. We spend our time and our valuable effort in putting into a company and hoping we get something good in return, such as a retirement. All right, so there, and there. Okay, I'm gonna give you 3 of them because let's say you make $300 a month. All right, so it comes in here, standard person's income comes in here. Now it's in the income box. Now you go, oh, I gotta pay my bills. I gotta pay for the other stuff, and I want Starbucks. I want Dutch Brothers. I want BlackRock, and all those are coffee places if you don't actually know what those are. So, you know, you spend it on the things that are considered conveniences when you could just have Folgers at home for not even half the price of one of those for a whole month. So, now I do go get those. Don't mistake what I'm saying. It comes down here, and these are your expenses, your bills, all right? And then it just runs away. Now here is called cash flow, which is, by the way, the other 2 words at the bottom that I told you about. So cash flow, all right? Most people go, oh, I got money saved, I'm good. We'll talk about savings here in a few minutes. So when we do it this way, there are 3 classes of people that are still classified, which is poor, middle class, and rich people. Okay? So I'm going to give them a P, an M, and an R. So the poor class thinks just like this. This is where your money goes. There's no really return. It's gone. You don't have it. That is a poor mentality. And it's not to say that poor people aren't good people. I don't want you to misunderstand that. Everybody has to start somewhere. And the beginning is realizing that there's a struggle here. You're just spinning your wheels. You ever wonder why you get so angry about the fact that you make minimum wage to run out a burger that costs these people 25 cents to make and have you deliver, and then they make almost like $5, $10 off of those burgers as a Happy Meal or whatever. You know, it only costs them cents on the dollar for that. It cost everybody else $5 for it. So if you think about that, how many can I get you to get out in an hour? Well, we got to set a goal, a time limit. With that being said, now you have a goal to reach, and if you don't complete the goal, you're an employee, you're expendable. Keep that in mind, always expendable. All right, so here, that's the employee class, all right? Now assets. Assets, we'll get into that last, and then liabilities. So this is how the middle class think. I need a nice home for my family, which everybody's told. I need a home, I need a car, okay? But this is how the middle class take care of their stuff. So these they consider, and yes, I put them in a liability. I'll explain why as well in a moment. So you're gonna go from the earning the money. So that's the higher ups, your management. Okay, they're taught, hey, make more money. So we're gonna add another dollar sign here, and you're gonna go from here to the income box. You're gonna come down to here. You're gonna purchase that thing. Then you're gonna come up because now it's an expense. You now have a loan on it, and it goes right back out. That is a middle class. Oh, I gotta look like I have a lot of money. And a lot of people fall into that trap a lot. Well, if I go to Starbucks 5 times a day, just to break it down, if you go to Starbucks once a day, every day, that's 5 times 30, that's $150 you just threw away. Just a quick cap for everybody. Now, I'm gonna start calling on the students that are actually sitting in the classroom, which, yes, is my tiny home. Okay, moving on. So here, the rich actually started in the E quadrant, okay? They start as an employee. They learn the skills of the employee. They learn what it takes to be an employee. So with that being said, that's only the first step. The problem is, what's the difference between a poor, a middle class, and a rich? It's education level. Well, I can't afford a good education. Well, so that means that you went from saying, okay, I know what the requirement is to make more money, to I can't do it. And it's never I can't. I can't is not a word that I like. It's not a set of words I like. I like I, and I like can't, just not together. They're not friends. Anyway, so you got the poor here, And the difference between them is college. Okay? Can everybody agree on that? Mm-hmm. College? Okay. Mm-hmm. So from here to here, it's just a little more schooling. It's a couple more years. You want college. You need that college, right? And then, what's the difference between the middle class and the rich? Well, the rich may have gone to college, right? They learned the middle class skill sets. What is the difference? Go ahead. What's the difference between the two?
They have assets.
How did they receive assets? Okay. So I want you to think it through. How about you? You should be able to answer this question. What do you think? So the question is, we see the difference here is college. What is the difference between these two?
Invest.
No. You have to have $250,000 more. And I told you could be this person while being that person. So I'll actually give the answer.
One knows what an asset is, the other one. So they both know what a liability is, but they put the liabilities in different places.
Okay, different categories, which means different forms of information. Mm-hmm. So the difference between the rich and the middle class is the middle class stopped after college. They stopped trying to learn new things. They stopped trying to learn money management, different business skills. They're like, okay, I just want to move up in a specialized version. Now, specialization is another thing we'll get into as well in the next step.
The rich.
So here, the rich, you always see those commercials about, I love books. It's better than a Porsche. It's better than a Lamborghini. Well, the reason it's better than a Lamborghini is because that's how they got the Lamborghini. Just break it down. I've never seen a Lamborghini commercial because the people who can afford them are not watching commercials. True. So, that is my personal belief. With that being said, the only difference is not work ethic between any of them. In fact, usually this guy here is lazier than the guy way up here. That is the facts. But it takes a lot of work up front to get there. Okay? So the difference is this one here stops at college. This one goes with what's called extended schooling. In other words, they never stop learning. It's not a thing. If you stop learning and you think that failing is bad, go ahead and tell your kid when you have one, or if you've already had one, when he fell down, he should have stayed on the ground because that's not how you learn. When you fall down to try to learn to walk, you keep falling down until you can get to that point. Okay, so the idea behind it is the only way humans really learn and well and fast is by failing. Now here's the difference. There's random failing, which is I didn't mean to, and then there's what's called intentional failing. I encourage intentional failing. That is planned out. Hey, how can I fail today? And it's not just randomly. You have to pick a subject. And some companies, in some companies, they call this research and development. Okay, so the idea is that you research small bits, you do a little bit here, a little bit there, and you try to see if you can fail. And if you keep passing, good for you. That means that your income's going to increase. Why? Because here's how the rich think. So the rich may only have this. Okay, they don't have four of those dollar signs. They only got one. But the difference is the mindset, what they've learned. So they go from here to the income, okay? And they don't go to the bills first, and they do not go to what's considered a liability. Now, why is a home a liability? Most people are like, oh, home's not a liability, the property values go up. Not always, actually. So the reason a home is liability is because, in my opinion, as well as my definition, an asset here is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket, okay? So my car loan, if I'm not renting out my car to somebody, it's taking money from my pocket. That's now a liability. Home loan, same thing. If I'm not renting it out and earning what it costs to buy it, it is now a liability. But you can always move a liability over to here. You can always move it to the asset. You just got to figure out how. Got to use the head. That's what an entrepreneurship is about. It's about learning. It's about making mistakes. You're supposed to. That's part of the fun and point. So with that being said, the difference is a rich person was taught, whether from the beginning or from where they are in life currently, to think like this. It's called pay yourself first. Now that sounds really stupid to a lot of people. Here's the reason why it's said, okay? So let's say I'm only making this little check. I still have to eat. I still have to pay for my home. I have to pay for my car. I do need these things. I need travel. You need them. It's a no-brainer. Everybody knows you need them. But this person, being a smart individual, and with a high financial IQ knows that if my check is $300, okay, $30, which is 10%, 10%, okay? So $300, I pulled 30 and put it into an account. Remember I told you we get back to savings. Here we go. So the savings is only good to begin the process. But let's say I need $5,000 to start a house loan. This $30 every paycheck, 10% of your paycheck every paycheck, will gather really quickly. Most people don't think so. You know, we live 100 years. If you were to just follow what I just told you, saving money is a waste of money. Huh? No. Okay, so I'll explain that here in a second. But the idea behind it is that if you take that 10% of your income, you can move it to where you need it. And the rich think like this. They go here, okay? And then they come down here and they pay themselves first. They invest in assets. Now, assets are rentals. Assets are, what's the next asset? Give me another asset. It's rentals, okay? So we got a rental house. What is an asset to you?
Rental car.
So you can rent out the car. So you're purchasing a rented car. Okay. So you can rent out a car. So we're going to go car.
You can drive for Uber.
Driving for Uber. That actually puts you into the S quadrant. We'll get to that here in a second. And don't drive for Uber. Drive for Lyft. It's way better. Anyway. Home. Okay.
Not sponsored.
So the difference is these people are taught to help other people. So instead of being greedy and saying, I want my home, they decided, I'm going to buy a home for you. You just have to help pay for it. That's all of you. And those of you that don't have to do this, good for you, but you're still paying taxes. Okay, so we're going to go from here up to... So the asset is now bringing in money, okay? So what they do is they make it create money here. So now, instead of having one, they have two of these. And during this time, they also come down here right after it comes back, they go down in there. Because they're adding money from their initial amounts from their employment. The money that's made from these can help you get rid of those expenses. You got to watch your budget, right? Got to pay attention to what you're doing. Because if you're going to Starbucks, that's $150. Now you tell me you can't save 30, but you took that $300 and you went and spent 150 of it on Starbucks. Yeah, you hear that? That's crickets. Just trying to help everybody out. All right, so this here is just a figurative number. You could get paid $1 million. If you're not good with this understanding, you have $1 million worth of debt. I don't care how much more money you make. If you don't think financially smart with a good IQ, you're in debt. And there's two types of debt. Okay, so we're going to get into debt as well as why savings is not a good idea. And I'll start with the savings first so that you can understand debt. All right, so is there any questions at this point from the classroom that is here?
No.
Okay, so this is basic financial. Okay, I understand that this is my first online appearance, but these folks have been taking classes for months. So they're pretty above this. I should be able to get solid answers out of them. And hopefully, once we get to a certain point, I will get super intelligent questions from you. And if you challenge me, we might work out a gift card there. I like to send free stuff as long as you make me work for it. Okay, so let's step out the next stop, okay? The next stop is, why is savings bad? If I have $100,000 in savings, okay. Jazz, tell me, how much is inflation averagely percentage a year?
Was it like 7%?
It is 7%, that's correct. Actually, I knew it. All right, so inflation, that's how much all the prices of your milk goes up. Is 7% every year, and that goes for everything across the board. 7% up. Now, D, can you please tell me what your average savings percentage is? When you put money into a savings account, how much APR do they give you for putting your money into their account?
How much money do they give you?
In a savings.
None.
They give you 0.1 3% or something like that. It's really low. If you got a high yield savings, it'll give you about 1%. So we're gonna say 1%. I'm gonna try to give you the best ability as possible, all right? So you can get anywhere between 1%. Now, if you go with a CD that's no more than a savings account, remember that it's a savings account. It's a higher than high yield because you're not allowed to touch your money. So they say you're loaning the money to the bank. The bank says, hey, we'll pay you back 3% interest. And that's the highest one I've seen so far, except for unless you got like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s. But right now, we're talking about what we can afford, not what we can't. So I will give the benefit of the doubt and say you're using a CD for your savings, and you can pull the money out whenever you need it. Not a thing, but we're gonna say it. So 3%. That goes up 3%. Okay, so this one here is expense. EX. This one here is your income. Off of the saved money, not extra income. So that's off the saved money. That is saved money right there, okay? At this rate, I'm gaining 3%, which is great. On $100,000, what is 3% of $100,000? 3% of $100,000, you just knock off 2 zeros. So if I knocked off 2 zeros, I'm getting $300. That's every year. That's what they give me. That's so sweet of them. Break that down by 12, and you're going to see how much you see in a month. So, 3%. I apologize. It should be $3,000. So anyway, most people look at that. All right, they're like, yes, I gained $3,000. But we also know, as a group, now, for those of you who are new, inflation goes up 7%. So that one is here. So I'm gonna add that. That's awesome. We just made 3 G's. Okay, great. But my inflation went up. So if I left this in there for a year, they'll give me $3,000. That's real sweet of them. But inflation went up, and inflation on the 100,000 is 7,000, not 3,000. So we're gonna go. That one's a plus because we added it. That's the income that they gave me. This one here is gonna be 7,000. All right, and now we're gonna minus that because that is what the cost of living went up. Wait, there's a problem here. I think we're gonna end up with less than 100,000 by the end of the year. So check this out. It's money that's sitting still. I didn't touch it. I lifted my savings like a good boy. All right, so we got 0, 0, 0. We're gonna do this the long way. Have fun with it. All right, there's 1. Okay, no, that ain't gonna do it. 1. I got a 9 there. Minus 3, we're down to 6. That's a 6. Is that a 6? That's a 6. And that's a 9. At the end of the year, that's how much is going to be your savings worth. I did not gain from saving. I got nothing from saving. In fact, they took my money. They were real sweet of them, right? So this is just off that basic principle, not including many other things that actually waver into that. And your living area. For example, if the cost of living in Portland is $100,000 a year, with how many people are moving into the area, it increases demand on living and a ton of other things. So guess what? We didn't go up 3 or 7% this year. We went up almost 12. I just lost $12,000, but they gave me 3, and that's fucking sweet of them. I'm a little upset about that, yeah? Okay, now you see why I say savings is a lie. Now, I do believe that you should have money in a savings account. Don't mistake that part either. You should always have your largest bill times 3 in the account. That's considered, it's actually financially stable by definition, according to law, is all of your bills for 1 month times 3 in your savings account. Most people don't have that money, so I just suggest one of your big bills, the biggest bill you've got, make sure you have it in your savings at all times, because if something goes bad, everything else should fall under that, no problem. You're able to replace it, no problem. So this is why I believe savings on a whole, as like, oh, stuff it under a mattress, you're just throwing your money away. And if you stuff it under a mattress, by the way, or put it in a book, or hide it in like your kids' toys, here's the problem with that. I don't get that 3,000, okay? Because you didn't put it into a banking system who wanted to borrow the money. Remember cash flow? We talked about it. Okay, that's the other 2 words on that list. So cash flow is a very important word. Okay? So when cash does not flow, I call it stale money. And stale money is just like bread, it eventually rots. Okay? So cash flow is very important words. Probably the most important words on that last chart. Okay? So cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. So here's the thing. going through the rich man's way and putting it into an asset, the money's constantly moving, so it never stops, and it never loses the 7,000 because at each time the cost of living goes up, when you have the rentals, or if you have, eliminate stand even, that you can raise the price as your cost of living goes up. So in doing so, you're actually matching that 7% or 12% or whatever it might be in your area. Okay, and that there are actual numbers for that, so you're more than welcome to look them up. However, here, that 100,000 is only supposed to be there in case of an emergency. That's what the point of a savings is. It's not to hide your money under your mattress, because money is fake. It's paper. I know, magical. Everybody doesn't know that. Anyway, it's not even backed by gold anymore. Our dollar is worthless. In fact, if you go to another country and try to exchange your dollar, like UK, you're gonna find that you don't have $100,000 in their money. You have like $90,000. But if you came over the other direction, you would actually have more, a lot more. It's ridiculous. So cash flow is very important. You're constantly keeping it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. Why? Because when it's continuing to move and you use it with good financial IQ, that creates what? I'll give you a hint. The word starts with a W. What does it start with? What is it? Wealth. That's the answer. Sorry, they're a little shy. It's a thing. So the idea behind this is that cash flow creates wealth. All right, and you saw the circle, how it kept going. Well, because the asset starts eventually replacing all of the income that has to go to the expenses, eventually all the income can go into the asset, and then eventually you can actually stop creating that income and just use your assets to create more income. This is the way most commonly people think that are rich, and the reason is because it's a certain type of mindset. Most poor people are taught, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. Who's ready to be angry? All right, so here's the angry part. Is your 401k a liability or an asset?
Liability.
Can you speak up so the class can hear?
Liability.
Thank you. All right, so she's correct, by the way. It is a liability. Here's the reason. A 401k is through the company you work for. Okay, and they're going to tell you that's an asset. You got money saved for something. They call it a retirement, but let's be honest. We only live about 100 years, and living to 65 or 70 and then getting to go play when you can barely walk is a problem. Okay, glad we worked that out. So anyway, this here is a 401k. A 401k is an investment. Most people don't understand that. It's just the company allow you to invest a little bit. But if you have 300 employees, investing a little bit is a lot of bit. So the point is, you're playing the stock market with this. So when the stock market falls, your 401k falls. In fact, people have been laid off, and if you get laid off or let go, your 401k is worthless. You can't cash it out. Some companies allow this, but it's only worth whatever it's worth at the time. If the stock goes up, of course the 401k goes up. They're going to give you more incentives to put more money in it because they're like, hey, we're doing great, we're awesome, woo! Well, the stock market always goes down eventually. Okay, always. It's a requirement. It's a thing. This here is called a paper asset. The reason it's paper asset is because there's nothing back in it. So there are people, even in the airline industry, in the 90s to be exact, that how about this? In fact, we'll do something a little more recent. When September 11th happened, airline stock plummeted. It hit probably an all-time low. Okay, because I'm not safe on an airline. Now, did people stop traveling? No, they didn't. They just decided at points, I'm not doing airlines now. Anyway, the employee, the pilot, had his 401k. He'd been working for that company for 40 years. I'm not going to use any company as specific because I don't represent nor do I approve or affiliate myself with any of them, and I don't disapprove of them either. So it's trying to be non-biased. But there is a couple of them, and you can read it in the New York Times. There was a strike for pilots because they weren't making enough. Why weren't they making enough? Because they got laid off. A lot of them did. So when they got laid off and that stock plummeted, goodbye. Oh, I have a pension. I really do. But you got laid off. I spent 40 years here. You owe me a pension. No, goodbye. We don't have to pay it. There's no money. That's also paper asset. You spent 40, 50 years, 20 years, 10 years. That's a long time to spend putting money into something that's just going to fall when the stock market does. And you notice I said when, not if. It does fall. That's the end of it. As a gradual as a whole, it went up. Granted, because there's more money flowing around in the world. However, at that same statement, the stock market doesn't just go up. It goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Well, on those downs, these people are the first ones to be cut. They're the first ones to go. It's not the CEO. The CEO's still there. He's the entrepreneur. He's the one, whether he bought it from the original entrepreneur, he is an entrepreneur in his own way, okay? An entrepreneur is someone who uses what they have to create more from what little they can start with. That is my definition. That is not the actual definition. I can look it up for you and I will definitely have that answer. So beyond all of this, that is your basic understanding and summary. So what you should do, and this is a list for those of you that will actually follow along and want to actually follow the homework. I want you to take your spending habits and cross-reference them with your banking. Now this is specifically called what? What is this that they used to do it? What is it? We're gonna balance our checkbooks and we're gonna set a plan. A plan. You guys are killing me, Smalls. Wake up. I'm gonna have to start throwing coffee at you guys.
It's my first day, okay?
Okay, so the cash flow is very important. I wanted you to see all of that so that you got mad enough to actually want to learn more about what to do about it. This is a course that will be held every Saturday from noon until 2. I donate my time. I'm not asking for money out of it. I am, I may have affiliates later on with other companies who want to increase their income because I do encourage each of my students, in which case in the second hour I teach them, especially the ones that show up and they've been here for months. We've got businesses in planning. We're trying to get them to do the right thing legally. Keep that in mind, legally. And the one thing that I try to teach everybody is it's too expensive. That's got to go. It's not too expensive. It's just you have to think of a way to create money. How do you create money? Well, some people think of that as like the illegal way. A robber, you're going to have certain friends. You're going to have possible jail time. A banker, you're going to have only a certain amount of money, and you have to work a lot of your life for it. You only get 2 weeks off. And then everything else beyond that, it's just who do you want to be? Who do you want to associate yourself with? Who you associate yourself with, by the way, if you look at all your friends, you're usually the middle guy as far as your income and the way you live. It's a thing. Even me. Okay? So, what I'm going to teach you is how to balance and make sure that you keep yourself clear. So what you do is you're going to write your incomes. And this is household income, not just yours. I mean, if you live in a household, it's a business deal, whether you are married, whether you're dating, whether you have roommates, it's a business deal. I agree to pay my portion, you agree to pay your portion. It's called a verbal contract. Now, there are some people that are the renters that try to protect those that go into verbal contracts like that by saying you have to be on the lease. So you can't run away from your verbal contract. But they take their income, okay? It doesn't matter who it is. Whoever makes an actual taxable income needs to be on this list. So, I'm going to use me, and I'm going to use my fiance. Okay, so there's R and D. Her name's Darian, by the way. I'll make her come up here eventually.
Hi.
So anyway, she makes, as an average, about $1,200 a month. Now keep in mind, that's as taxable income at a job. I was at here just a couple weeks ago working for a very reputable company. I do believe in a lot of the things that the company was founded on, as well as how they still run. I think they're an amazing company and they do take care of their employees. So I was making, no, I'm not telling you, I win. So I was making anywhere between 24 and about 4,000 a month. Now you add them together because that's what it is, right? And then you got to go with the household expenses. What we did, even though we're not married, we still made all of the bills for the house the same list. So now we're gonna go down here. By the way, it just depended on what week, because we got weekly, so this is per month. So let's say I'm gonna go with the low number, because I always make my income lower than what it actually is. That way I know that I can live off of it. Here's another suggestion for those of you who are just starting this. Try to make your expenses match the lower income of the people in the home. Why? Because if we broke up, I don't want her to be struggling the same, because if you actually cared and love for somebody, that's how it's gonna be. That's what you're gonna do, okay? So you're gonna take care of them. That's my opinion. That's how I was raised. I apologize if it offended you, although I'm pretty sure most of you agree. So here we budgeted our bills for the longest time off of her money. Okay, so we took her income and we said, all right, we got our phone bill. Okay, so it's phone. All right, and I'm actually giving you our numbers, by the way. I'm looking at my board over here because we have it written so that anybody who walks into our home can see it. We are not bashful, nor are we ashamed of what our bills are or how much money we owe. So the phone is $200 a month plus their little taxes, so it's $207 a month. It'll be actually $210. I increase or decrease based off of what we actually make. I put it at $300 on our board because sometimes magically my kids like to buy apps or crap in apps when they're playing games, so I give a little bit more of a budget, okay? So because I know that, I'm gonna put the 300 mark. Okay, we got 300. Now our rent, we live in a tiny home. We don't really require a ton. We don't require to be necessarily hooked to electrical. We can be, but we don't require it. As far as water, it's the only thing that we really require as far as anything going, really. And as you can see, it's still being built, okay? It's not finished. I want you to understand that. We've been working on this for 2 years now, going on 3. So this isn't a joke for us. You know, we've been living this amazing dream of struggle, just like you guys, okay? We've had arguments about money. Now we're on the same level. So that helps out a lot. So $300 for that. We pay $200 in rent every month. Why? Most people go, oh my God, you didn't do that. Well, to be honest, it's because I asked the landlord, I said, hey, because I only need water, you mind while I'm building my tiny home if I pay you $200 a month? I'm not going to be living in your domicile. I will not be taking from your family. I just need to know if I can borrow some of your space. I'll pay you $200 for it. He agreed. $200 for him. Good for him. Okay, so that's our rent. All right. Now, since then, some of our bills have gone up, but I'll explain that here in a minute. So we had a single car note. We have now more than that, but right now we're gonna go with what we have on the board because we just got one yesterday. So a car, okay, and that was running $500 a month. 500. Okay. Now insurance, because you don't want to drive uninsured. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put INS. And that, because it was a brand new car and we had to have the full coverage, was $398. But I'm gonna kick that up to $400. I told you we're going high, okay? High. So $400. All right. So now we got those. We budgeted $200 for food or for fuel. I apologize. So for fuel, a month is $200. That's what we budgeted. We try to keep within our budget for food, and food is a bill. You must eat. If you don't, it doesn't look pretty. Just eat, okay? So food. Now food was budgeted per person in the house at $75, okay? Well, there are 3 young boys that split between me and their mom. There's me, there's Dee, and we have a puppy. Yes, I'm hiding her, so you can't see her. Okay, but anyway, she eats about a 40-pound bag of dog food every 2 weeks, so budgeting for her is the same as budgeting for the children. However, children don't eat as much as adults, and we don't have them full time. So you got to budget for what you got. So they're only here roughly 4 days out of the month. That's every other weekend for the entirety of a 20 or a 48-hour period every other weekend. So we don't really need to budget a ton for them because we've learned how to shop appropriately. And shopping appropriately, having a sale, does not necessarily mean it's a sale. Okay, we'll get into that in future reference, but right now we're going to just continue with this. So now we've budgeted for us $75 a person. That's actually way more than you need per week. That's how much it was per week, okay? That's way more than any human really needs to eat. Which is $150 between the two of us for that, okay? So breaking that down for that there, 600. No, wait a minute. I said we're trying to budget for that, didn't I? We are. I'll show you. Okay, so this, I believe. Oh yeah, we have Spotify and Hulu left. Okay, so Spotify. I think. Did you get Spotify Premium as well?
I do too.
Yeah, so there's two of them.
Yeah. But
Okay, we need to update that.
Yeah, we need to.
All right, so
go back into one.
Spotify. $20. We forgot to update it on our board. I apologize, folks. And then it looks like we got Hulu, which we actually use the Hulu Premium now. And I got some time free on this, so we don't pay for that yet. So I'm gonna put the price that we got up there, but look up on it. They do a pretty decent premium package.
12.
So that's $12 for that a month. Had Hulu for a long time. I like Hulu. Anyway, do I watch TV? No, I don't have time for that. But I can occasionally start an episode and then through a case of like a week watch it. I get 30 minutes and I gotta watch it over a week. It's fun. But anyway, it's $12. It's really good for the kids. They get to watch a little bit in the morning before breakfast, and they get to watch a little bit in the evening before bed. So this is our total. Now you just gotta add it up, okay? That's my expenses. S expenses. Add them up. So here, you're gonna add up the totals here, okay? And that's 3,600. That's pretty good. That's a job. That's a job. You know, and that brings in right about 45,000 for the household as a total, give or take. You know, it's sake and things like that, but overtime. So here we're gonna go 2. We're gonna go 3. We got 1 and 2 is 5, 10, 20, 2. So it's 2,200. 2,230. Okay. 2232 is the total. Now keep in mind this is an extra $100 high, you know, and everything that we went into there except for the rent. The rent is just a stable amount, so I just put that 100%. And the idea is to go back and forth until you get a good understanding of where you should be, and it should be only about 10-15 bucks off from what you're actually estimating. Okay? And we don't always we don't eat this between two people. We only eat probably like $400, so we find that we have a lot of extra cash floating around in the account. Okay? We have a joint account and we have our own accounts. And at the end of every 30-day period, we take that money and we split it between us. Even. Because see this? I make more than she does. I make double what she does. So with that being said, I should be paying double the bills. Why? Because that's how it works. You're paying by percentage, not by what's considered fair. So if you make half as much as I do, I need to pay 3/4 of the bills. You pay 1/4. That's how the game's played. Most people disagree with that. No, you should pay your half. Well, that is their half. That's the only way anybody's gonna make it in the world. Stop being greedy. All right, so we know it's 2,200 for the total, and that is a deficit. So we're gonna put a minus there, and we're gonna minus it from the total of the household. Why are we minusing from the total of the household? You'll see here in a bit. So we're gonna minus it from the 3,600. So it's 3,600 because that's on top. So 36, and then 22. 32, but I like to round bills up. I'm pretty good at that, so we're just gonna knock it up to 2,250. That's where we're going with that, all right? Bills go up, income comes down. Now keep in mind, this is on the low end on both of us. So at our worst, that's what we make. That's our worst. At our best, it's much higher. But I just budgeted for our worst. So, all right? Now, the point of budgeting, by the way, to create this list is to realize that you need to stay in the budget. And we went high on the bills because maybe I do want something off my app. You know, I do use Lyft. I drive for Lyft. And, you know, I have the income flexibility there as long as you're good with finances and keeping a budget. Okay? Because, like, some people are like, oh, I tried it and I just failed and I owe tax at the end of the year. Well, yeah, you're a business. You should have expected to pay the taxes. The key to being an employee is you get taxed first, so you get taxed highest. Owning your own business, you get to spend the money prior to taxes, and if you do it properly, it comes off as a write-off. Anyway, back to what we were doing. So I'm gonna knock that up to 2,250. So we're gonna knock that down. Okay.
1350.
Ooh, she speaks. All right, 1350 is the answer. Let's take a look and agree with her. See? Okay, we got 1, 3. That's 5, 3. Yeah, 3. She's correct. Okay. So anyway, moving on. Point is, that's extra money between the households. So if we split that and we did it appropriately, we would also split this appropriately. Not 50-50, it would be appropriately split. So she would get her 25% of it that she paid into it, and I would get my 75% of it. That's fair. Remember, you paid more, so it's just fair, okay? We're going by percentage, it's fair. However, if you're married, that is a very interesting way to look at things, because most people just lump it all together and they're like, yeah, and there's always one person who spends because they see this, but they don't give a crap. Nah, you need to get both of you on the same page. You got to be on the same page, otherwise you're gonna butt heads like we used to, and now we're on the same page. Once you started going through the classes, started understanding, I started teaching these classes to help people, and that's what I want to do still. Okay, so I'm trying to help you with your finances. Once you get an understanding of this, now you know car, that's how much it is. You know your insurance, fuel, food. Keep the receipts. That's the homework. That's your homework. You ready for homework? Okay, homework. Keep your receipts. Or look on your banking statement if you use your debit card for everything. If you have cash, you need to keep the receipts. And every time you have a receipt, I want you to write it into one of the categories. Okay, so if you bought an app, you need to write down, hey, I bought an app for my phone. That's in the phone category. Fuel, food. You need to know what you're spending. Now here's one category that didn't get added here because we don't budget for it, because normally we have extra money running around. But it's called miscellaneous. MISC. Okay, now most people add that to a budget, especially if you're on a really tight budget, because you have to have some fun. You have to go out to the movies. You got to do this other stuff, right? Okay, so I'm just showing you how to take care of your finances first. I want you to understand that, because I'm about to ask you some questions that are probably gonna hurt. So miscellaneous, you know, it's $20 per person to go, plus maybe some snacks. So you're looking at a lot if you just go to the movies. But if you rent Redbox and then go buy pizza, that's a different story. Yeah, I'm a fat kid. I love food, especially if you get Papa John's. Meat lovers. All right. So anyway, you can make that as low as $60. Okay. But then that increases this, and we're still within that range according to us. Okay. That's by our budget. You need to do the same. You need to mimic what you want, mimic the people that have what you want, and you'll end up with what they have. Okay. Now, with this being said, we could split that up, and then you can go spend it. Yay, I got free money. Or we could work together, or individually, and use that money after it's split or together to invest in assets. Uh-oh, business talk. Must mean we're down to about the last 10 minutes of the class for the first hour. I will be taking a 15-minute break before we come back, just to let you know. All right, so all of this is something you need to do. Your homework is to keep your receipts. Okay, I want you to see how much you're actually spending on garbage. And most of the time, okay, this food and miscellaneous are out of control. That's where you hemorrhage your money. There was one lady, she went to Starbucks 3 times a day. Now remember, 1 time a day, every day, is $150 She couldn't figure out what, like, she was making so much money, she was wondering why she was always broke from payday to payday. 3 times a day. Now 150 times 3 is $450 a month. And that's just for that, but then she also went out to lunch and dinner. She went to the movies. So these things need to be controlled. You have to have self-control in order to do anything with your money, because it's a tool. It's not good, it's not bad, it's what people do with it. That's what changes people. Thank you for joining us in the first hour of the class. This is Personal Finance. The homework, as I said before, is to do what we did. And then I want you to compare it to what you're actually doing. So do one list of what your bills are. Keep it in front of you, based off of your income. And then I want you to do a list, on a second list, the exact same thing. But this time you're going to write down everything you actually bought and where it went. And if you can't remember, it just says some random name, that goes in this number right here. That goes in miscellaneous. Okay, if you can't remember where it went, wasn't important, which means probably didn't need it. All right, so thank you for joining us in the class for the first hour here today. Is there any questions at this time?
No.
All right, So like I said, they've been in class for a while, so this is basic finance for them. Once we get through the basic understanding of finances, I will go through this every day. Every day I will go through this, so it'll be boring for you. The more intermediate and advanced classes will come in the second hour of courses, which is also thrown in with business development, personal development, lots of other things. It's kind of a big mumble jumble, but it is for business and business to be set up successfully with good thoughts. So please come join us for that class. Thank you for joining us today. You guys are amazing. Remember, hit the subscribe if you want to come back, see what we got going on, understand, hit that bell. You can just come in and you know that it's coming from noon to 2. So you can just jump in on the second half if you want. Maybe you just needed a refresher on this. This is good reminding. This is good basics. You know, even basketball coaches teach, do the basics, basics, basics. Well, don't worry about that fancy shot. Do the basics, because that's what works. So stick to the basics. Your homework is to do that. I think you'll be blown absolutely away. So next time what we'll do is we'll only spend a half hour on this, and then we'll actually drag someone out of the classroom here, and we'll use their finances. I won't necessarily have them stand in front of you, but I will be using that finances, and I will not give their name out. That's just rude. But I will be using their finances to let you see what it looks like when we do both. Okay, and I want you to see their homework. So till next time, thank you for joining us. Have a good day.